How many people in this group are, who are in private practice or in a nephrology-only practice? How many have a multi-specialty practice? And what I mean by that is you employ or engage IRs, vascular surgeons, cardiologists. Not too many, a few. Growing number, actually more than I thought. That is probably the easiest and the hardest way to start to stem the tide on some of the challenges that the industry is facing. And depending upon your viewpoint, what are those challenges? Loss of independence, growth of corporatized medicine, private equity, where private equity isn't wanted, if you have to turn to private equity because that's your last choice or it's because it's your exit strategy. I mean, we've seen the slides now from the last two speakers where dialysis vascular access reimbursement has been slashed roughly 50% since 2017. ASC reimbursement is getting better. But at the end of the day, nephrologists and doctors in general, like Dr. Patel was saying, need to work smarter, not harder. You guys work way too damn hard. And this is one way to work smarter, which is looking to partner with other endovascular specialists, cardiologists, vascular surgeons, podiatrists to a certain extent, IRs. And if you're not looking at partnering, and there are different ways to partner, here's some of the options. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to go out and employ them, or I'm going to merge my group with the cardiology group. That's not where you start. You start with baby steps. And so here's some of the baby steps to start to build the trust within the community. And hopefully, the ultimate goal is to get to that multi-specialty practice merger, or to get to the point where you're comfortable employing other specialties. But how do you get there? And what are the obstacles? Well, there's a lot of obstacles, but mainly they're self-generated. And it's obstacles that you create for yourself. It's the, why am I not going to do this? Loss of practice culture, loss of flexibility and operational clinically, not enough work to go around. We need to stay in our lane as nephrologists. Different, incompatible compensation models, different opportunities for ancillary income, and, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And I think more than anything else, if you kind of summarize this, we're more different than we are alike, and that's just not true. You're more alike than you are different. And so, I need to go back. So, these are the places that you start in terms of some of the options available. But how do we fix what's going on in medicine? The answer is together. And what I mean by together is start with the endovascular specialties. Reach out across the aisle. Dr. Patel was saying, he went to VASA, he went to some of the other trade organizations. Are there representatives today here from OEIS or SIR or SVS in the room? If they were here, raise your hand. Awesome, that's great. And that's the starting point, is the outreach from one society to another, to bring back ideas and say, hey, I learned this at, this meeting. Maybe we should have a session on this, or a pro and con on X, Y, and Z. We've had some wonderful sessions in terms of point, counterpoint. And, it's bringing the collaboration together across the societies. And then that collaboration then hopefully leads to working together on reimbursement issues. And maybe that leads to, coming together as societies and coming together in practice as well. So what are the benefits? Why to do it? And as I was creating this list, I'm like, wow, this sounds like reasons for private equity. And this is what private equity will sell you in terms of coming together multi-specialty, or if you decide to do it on your own and grow over time. These are all the benefits. But there's one on the list that's missing, and I'm wondering if anyone just looks at the list and say, there's something that I think Jason's missing, and it's a huge one. Because it is. It's there. What's that?
Lack of autonomy.
Lack of autonomy? Yep. That's okay, so I've got two that are missing. Patient quality and care. It's not on the list. If you how would they do it? You know, that's, you know, there's a bunch of issues that you need to consider when you move to multi-specialty physician practice. And these are some of the operational and legal issues. But the hardest thing to do is that first contract, employing your first doctor outside of your specialty. And you know, the most common thing that I've seen when you're bringing in that first doctor is recognizing that you're making an investment. And that first year, you know, it's a bit of a loss leader. You may need to